Yo, you feel that? Dog, that's queer retrograde, baby.
Hello. Welcome back to Queer Retrograde. My name is Fritz and I am your co-host. I use any pronouns and I'm taking you on my journey of going through the artist way with Julia Cameron. I just finished up week 9 and week 9 was recovering a sense of compassion. And so I have my Cazimi sweatshirt on today because the front of it says be intentional and the back says practice compassion. So I'm really excited about this week, and it was a week where I deeply needed that self-compassion. I ended up having a bit of a week where I was in bed a lot because I was recovering from a little injury. So yeah, I'll get into that later, but let's dive into it. So in week 9, the first thing that Julia Cameron addresses is fear. There are so many times when I think as an artist, it's so easy for me to be like, oh, like almost like shame or guilt myself for not being creative or for not like making things. Luckily I come from a performance background, so I feel like I have kind of navigated this quite a bit in the past already. But oftentimes whenever artists are blocked, what she's talking about here is it's not laziness, it's not like procrastination, it's literally fear, like, or if it is procrastination, it's procrastination because of fear. And it's so wild for me to think about this because I'm like, I know so many people who work in arts administration or who work near or around artists that have such this facade, this mask of like, I have my shit together, I'm happy, I have the best life, blah blah blah. But it's like, what, like, it's just looping me back to earlier in the book whenever she was talking about how people who are blocked artists will often position themselves close to artists so that they can still be near their dream without having to actually take responsibility for it or do anything about it. And then how even with myself, like, I've worked in the arts and had this kind of mask of like, oh, well, yeah, this gives me like the flexibility to be able to like still make my work while I'm, making the financial income needed to live. And while there is some truth to that, I still think that it can be used as kind of like this excuse a little bit. And it's fear. It's like fear of being vulnerable, being open, fear of critique, failure, criticism, all the things. And I've also noticed since I stopped drinking alcohol, like my fear is so much more unavoidable. Like I'm just noticing like, whoa, like I'm a bit of a scaredy cat, like I get pretty scared in life in general. And yeah, I even started reading a book by Thich Nhat Hanh called Fear, to see kind of to see Thich Nhat Hanh's view on it and like what kind of ways that I could integrate some acceptance and compassion towards my fear through my meditation practice and through affirmations and things like that. But whenever I'm thinking about combating fear or kind of caring for fear and where Julia Cameron goes with it as well is through enthusiasm and truly just nurturing our inner artist, because our inner artist is a child, right? It's the artist child. So all of that sort of love yourself, be your number one biggest fan, number one biggest cheerleader, like that feels like a way to find safety, even within the fear of creating. And there was a quote in this chapter that said, a spiritual commitment, a loving surrender to our creative process, a loving recognition of all the creativity around us. And it just reminded me of Bell Hook's definition of love and All About Love, which is to extend yourself for the spiritual growth of yourself or another person. And so, yeah, like nurturing my inner artist is like loving myself, and is, yeah, just kind of helping my inner artist child feel safe and feel loved in ways that maybe I haven't felt from external forces before or other people. And that feels empowering to me. And I'm thinking about creativity as adventure and as play, because if our inner artist is a child, if my inner artist is a child, then what do children want to do? They want to play, they want to experiment, they want to have fun, they want to, like, not concerned about how it looks at the end of it, or how much praise we're going to get at the gallery or anything like that. It's literally just like process over product. And that's something that has been a through line, I think, throughout this whole journey of the artist way. And so this is just another kind of example of how beneficial that internal belief system of process over product, or humanity over materiality, or experience over profit can be. So then Julia gets into the creative U-turns, which creative U-turns meaning sort of like self-sabotage, or like, oh, if I get an offer from a gallery but then I never respond to them, or I never follow up with them about showing again or something like that, never say thank you, those sorts of things. It's like kind of stemming from this internal belief system of like, I don't deserve whatever blessing I'm being offered, or whatever opportunity or whatever accolade I'm being given. And I think that that's something that, I've definitely struggled with it. I think the more I've stepped into my like queerness too, it feels even harder to believe that I deserve these things, because of like a society where we're taught that if you are, anything other than like a cis white man, straight man, then you are like less deserving or less valuable or worthy or something like that. But I'm like, through my language, and again through that internal belief system, and just like the way I'm talking to myself and who I'm surrounding myself and how they're talking to me as well, whose opinions I value, etc. Like, I'm rewriting that narrative of like, I deserve everything that's coming my way and more, to the point where now I'm asking the universe, like, show me how good it could get. Show me how good it could get to where I didn't even know that I wanted this, but now you're giving it to me, because we have that kind of relationship. We're in deep like that, And so, yeah, so some other stems of these sort of creative U-turns could be like comparison, comparing like myself to other artists or to other people that maybe have achieved things that I haven't, or like have found their own version of success whenever I haven't found mine, or turning minor feedback into like a huge failure. And this is something I do with mistakes sometime, where if I make a minor mistake, I'm like, oh, well, they're gonna hate me forever now. Like, that's that, I'm done. Like, might as well just exile myself now. So that could be considered like a U-turn, because it's like, I'm not acknowledging the reality of the situation of like, okay, someone gave me some minor feedback, but that's not like the end of the world. That doesn't mean the entire thing I made was complete shit. And even if someone did give me feedback to where that could be the truth, like how do I value that person's feedback? Do I see the truth in it? What do I think? You know, always looping back to that. And then, so the U-turn is like kind of taking any opportunity and squandering it, or if you're a RuPaul fan, squabbling it. Only the RuPaul people will know that one. So then she's talking about, give yourself some sympathy, learn how to survive creative failures. And there's a quote I'm going to read that kind of gives a bit of a metaphor to this. Think of your talent as a young and skittish horse that you are bringing along. This horse is very talented, but it is also young, nervous, and inexperienced. It will make mistakes, be frightened by obstacles it hasn't seen before. It may even bolt, try to throw you off, feign lameness. Your job as the creative jockey is to keep your horse moving forward and to coax it into finishing the course. So some of that language, I'm like, I don't know. But like coaxing, it's like more like encouraging, you know, like how do I be in right relationship with myself to where I can care for whatever is coming up, and then that creates a spaciousness to where I can move toward my unique creative yearnings, desires, visions. And part of that is asking for help, you know, like asking for help. If I have discovered, I know that I want to become a landscape oil painter. It's like, do I know any landscape oil painters? Do I know anyone who, you know, is dating a landscape oil painter? Do I know a gallery that has shown landscape oil paintings? Do I know, like, there's so many different ways to go about it. And the internet also like can make this so easy, I think. Like, if I have a creative idea, then sometimes I'll just go on YouTube and see if there's like a tutorial or who the main characters are online that are like doing this thing or making these things, and reach out to them. You know, it's likely that I know someone, or I know someone who knows someone. And I think that that's true even if you're someone who feels like you're not well connected. It's like the internet is like, has made it so, like, I literally found a collage artist that I was like, whoa, I love this person's work, this is awesome. And then they turned out to be living in Richmond, so I reached out, and then she reached out like right away again, like right away she responded to me. So, and like regardless of outcome of that, it's like just knowing that I can do that is like, feels like an unlocked superpower or something like that. Like, cause it's again, it's just giving myself permission to see an opportunity and take it. Okay, so what else? So then the chapter gets into blasting through blocks again and again and again, because as much as I would love to make my way through the artist way and be like, I'm an unblocked artist, I'm gonna make everything I want to make forever and it's gonna be great. No, like the blocks are gonna continue to come because life continues to come, and all of the things that can feed into our blocks are going to continue happening because this is life. So she kind of gets into like the process for blasting through blocks, and it kind of goes back to what we were just talking about with the horse, where it's like, it's up to me to convince myself that I am free and safe to create. And I need to process through whatever fear, anger, resentment I have inside of me to be able to get there. So she definitely offers some like processes for this, but I do think it's like a very personal thing of like, what does it look like for me to process through my fear in the moment? For me, like, I love to hold myself. I love to like give myself a hug, rock, give myself massage, like do some like tapping. And that's just like something that I have learned over the course of like several years of investigating my emotions and seeing how to care for them. And, you know, it's also like, it's not a one size fits all thing. It's also not a one size fits all thing for me. You know, like sometimes I'll be feeling really scared and I'm like, I need to go for a run, or like I even was looking into starting boxing the other day because I'm like, I just feel like I could really use a high impact exercise activity of some kind. And if it is something that also helps me to feel empowered for if, God forbid, I ever do get into a fight, I might actually like know a thing or two. That's great. So yeah. How do you feel? How do you find a sense of safety for the inner artist child? That's kind of the question here. And yeah, there's kind of like there's like a journaling prompt of just like listing out your angers and your resentments. And it's kind of like an expansion on the morning pages a bit of like just really getting in there, letting yourself say everything, write it down, you know, explore every single nook and cranny. I'm curious if Julia Cameron is an air moon, because I feel like this is a very air moon way of kind of navigating this. And yeah, just asking yourself, like, what else is there? Is there anything else? And just getting it out on the page. Yeah, something that I like to do is like, I'm an earth moon, so I like to literally go outside and like be with the earth, get on the ground and like visualize whatever anger or frustration I have literally coming into like my palms out of my hands and then like giving it to the earth. And then it's like, okay, it's turning into compost. It's like, it's being kind of, it's being neutralized by the earth. And that's why the earth is like such an incredible companion to me, and I love her. But yeah, I mean, getting clear about it through writing is also really helpful for me as well. And then yeah, making that deal with yourself of like, okay, creative force, you take care of the quality, I'll take care of the quantity, and then sign your deal and post it on the wall. Great news, y'all. We have got a mushroom hookup for y'all. I have been microdosing on and off for a few years now, and can definitely say that when I'm on top of my dosing, my baseline is calmer, freer, and more open-minded. That's because a major benefit of microdosing is its ability to enhance neuroplasticity, your brain's natural ability to adapt, rewire, and recover from dysfunction. Mycelium combines the healing benefits of ancient medicine with science-backed nootropics and adaptogens. Each blend is packed with unique benefits. Mycelium offers a wide variety of products, making it easy to integrate microdosing into your day-to-day life. Hobbes loves their coconut creamer, and I'm really into the capsules for love because, of course, I'm a little lover boy. Click the link in our show notes and use the code Cazimi for 20% off your purchase. Again, use the link in our show notes, and the code is Cazimi, Cazimi, for 20% off your purchase. So yeah, then we got into the tasks. So for the tasks this week, one of them was reading our past morning pages. I only had my recent notebook with me. I left the other one in Virginia Beach, but I realized through reading some of my entries, I write about my dreams a lot, which I think I've mentioned on this podcast before. But I write about my dreams a lot, and I'm curious of where that practice is gonna go. I know Hobbes has kind of gotten into this whole basically decoding their dreams, or I don't know if decoding is the right word, but uncovering their own internal language through their dreams. And that's really inspiring to me, because I'm there's obviously so much important content there, and it's important enough for me to write it down in my morning pages pretty regularly, pretty often. And so maybe that'll be a creative project that's upcoming, who's to say. I also write about my body ailments, where I'm hurting, what parts are sore. I've been going through these toe situation where I had an infection in my toe. And then this past week, I actually had an ingrown toenail removed, which is why I was in bed so much. I was basically recovering and on kind of a bed rest, because it was very painful. But I got to see this kind of through line over the last few weeks of this journey of me with my toe. I was just talking about my toe a lot. And I think that goes back to the earth moon thing again. It's this really intentional kind of noticing of the body. What's the body doing? What's the body saying? And moving from that place. And then, of course, just my morning pages have a lot of content where I'm processing my thoughts, my feelings, and my current experiences, what I'm going through. I will say it's very here and now centered for the most part. There was definitely some future dream kind of work, but yeah, it seems the morning pages for me are just a really great kind of extension of my presence practice of what's happening to me right here, right now, and how do I give room for that, give space for that. And yeah, this last basically this whole time I've been doing the artist way, this last 9 weeks, it's been an immense time of change for me. Immense time of change. I moved, I got a new job, I got another new job, and the interview processes with all of that involved, Hobbes and I are, figuring out what the next steps look like for Cazimi. And I've been doing this the artist way. I started a conflict course. It's just been a lot of change. And so I'm grateful that I've been doing this through it. I honestly know I'm gonna probably do the artist way again some point in my life, when hopefully my circumstances are maybe a little more settled, so I can really give myself give my full attention to the tasks and see what creative things come up because of it. But that being said, creativity is adapting through change, or accepting change, I think. Like those things are like synonymous, I think, to me. So it has made me, I think, be a little more like focused on like the process and the play of it all, rather than getting wrapped up in like narratives of like stress or just like stories that aren't based in like reality ultimately. So yeah, and then for the other tasks, one was a visualizing task, because last week we kind of got to the root of like what our North Star of like the like dream is. So for me, I know like my North Star is like, actually, let me just read it, because I was like reading this earlier and I was like, this is so beautiful. I love it. Let me find it. I wasn't planning on doing this, but okay. So my true north of my dream is care, sense of belonging and safety, contributing to greater community access to care and belonging. Sounds so simple, right? It can be simple, I think. So, kind of like one of the first steps to that is just finding some sustainable infrastructure for my own life right now, meaning like housing, finances, and like y'all, I've been moving 2 times a year at least, right? So it's like that energy can be put somewhere else. So I made a mood board for wherever my house will be, a mood board for like the living spaces, and I actually like the home interior design and all that. And I actually found this word called biophilic design, which is basically like design that mimics nature, through like the shapes, the textures, sometimes color, and incorporating like actual like plant matter into the design as well. 'Cause y'all, I have like so many plants and I'm like, I cannot wait to just like design my home with these plants. Like, it just makes sense to me. Having this sort of indoor outdoor feel to the space has always made me feel really at peace and at home and comforted. So I'm excited to be able to do that in my new space. And then there was also a task called priorities, where like the task was to kind of list out your creative goals for the year, for the month, for the week. And I actually, in the new year, I forget if I mentioned this or not, but like I got together with some friends and we made these, well, in the past I have made like bingo boards with my goals for the year and then like crossed them out and tried to get bingo. And I did a mini version of that this year, which I think I mentioned on here. But I also made these like punch cards, and one of my punch cards is collages, and another punch card is tree hugs, which I feel like gardening or like kind of nature collaging kind of fits in there as well. So, and there's a few other ones. So I have these like punch cards, and that I had already made, and I was like, that kind of counts for a priorities task, I think. And then another task was recognizing any creative U-turns that I have that I've like done in my life. And I need to like think about this one more, because there are definitely opportunities that I have said no to, but I've just been so under the impression that I said no to them for alignment reasons, or for like reasons that make sense to me. But now I'm starting to consider, like, I never considered that maybe it was like me blocking myself from blessings or blocking myself from opportunity. So I need to like think about that more. The one that like comes up for me is definitely like saying no to grad school, because it was 2020, and I mean, I did get like a full ride to an MFA program. But it just felt like during COVID, like it felt like I didn't want to fall under a spell of like a university whenever they probably couldn't offer what they said that they could offer. And then also I was just like focused on other things that were like outside of academia at that time. And yeah, my priorities shifted a lot in 2020, as I think a lot of people's did. So, but now I'm like, dang, like I was offered like an opportunity to just like focus on my art for 2 years, you know, like that's kind of wild. And I turned it down. So I'm gonna like think about that more. And I think there's also probably some times where like I'll have an idea and then I'll ask someone to collaborate with me, and then if that falls through, I just like won't do it, because I oftentimes, as much as I do truly love collaboration and I think like some of the best work can be made through collaboration, sometimes I use collaboration as like a bit of a like a scapegoat to like having to put myself out there on my own and like be really vulnerable in that way. So, yeah, probably something to do with that as well. But again, I'm going to think about it more. I will say there have been some creative dreams that have been coming up, coming through, coming to fruition. And I have been like doing some research and journaling about them and all of that. There's definitely some drag dreams that have been coming up for me, some collage dreams and scrapbooking dreams. I would love to start a collaging group in Richmond, so stay tuned for that. And also some home and garden dreams, which I mentioned with the mood board. So all of that is starting to, like, the seeds are being planted, and I'm watering them and looking forward to continuing to see where those endeavors go. So with the morning pages, getting into kind of the weekly overview now, or the reflections. The morning pages, I'm still doing them. I'm definitely being less strict with myself about them in terms of like doing a full 3 pages or whatever. I'm just kind of approaching it from this question of like what feels like devotion today, and moving from there. And then the artist date this week was truly going to the doctor and getting my ingrown toenail removed. I know it sounds like so unromantic and just like icky, and it was extremely painful. Like I wasn't expecting it to be as painful as it was, to be honest, but I already have trauma in my foot, so I think it just kind of added to that, or it like unleashed a lot of things that have been like stagnant in that area for a while. But it was I count it as my date because I was like taking a step to address pain that I've been feeling for weeks now, and kind of really take that step to have a more sustainable solution. Even though it hurts now, it's like ultimately that just needed to happen. And I like took off work so that I could give myself time to really rest and heal. And I got to watch the new season of Heartbreak High on Netflix. Highly recommend it. I love that show. I love seeing like queer people on TV and seeing them navigate kind of their inner conscious, I guess. Conscience. Yeah. And I did some drag research. I tried watching that Drag King show, but to be honest, the production quality was just so low. It was really hard for me to get into it. But there's a lot of great like YouTube drag kings that I was like looking at their videos and stuff like that. And then I started reading Stone Butch Blues. My friend who I'm subletting from has an awesome library here. And I was like looking, and I was like, whoa, I have been like, that book has been on my list for so long. And it's making me feel like really so many things ultimately, right? Like I already cried. I'm like, this is really hard to like read and like watch you, hear you go through this. Excuse me. But also it's making me feel really like strong and empowered, because I'm like, dang, like my like ancestors like went through all of this and they endured, you know? So I'm really excited to continue reading. And I also started learning ASL. I was like, I can spell my name Fritz. Oh. And yeah, I have a 2-day streak on my new app, so I'm excited to keep that going, hopefully. And yeah, all the synchronicities of this week were just like big pushes towards whatever I'm like dreaming and scheming, like go for it. And also encouragement that I'm doing well and I'm surrounding myself with the right people right now. Yeah, a lot of synchronicities, not going to get into the specifics, but just big encouragement. And yeah, the only issue this week was mostly just like being in a lot of pain from my toe and learning how to work with that and remembering that my worth and value is not tied to production and moving from that place. I had to ask for help this week. I had to, like I said, take off work. I had to lay around a lot and not move around a lot. And that just was what it was, you know? And it's an ongoing journey for me of really embodying that sense of worth and value outside of production. So I'm grateful to my pain and my injuries for continuing to teach that lesson. Okay, so week 10 is recovering a sense of self-protection. I look forward to continuing to share the last few weeks of this Artist Way journey. I hope that you are taking great care of yourself and having an amazing, amazing week. Till next time.
Please, dear God, keep the gay agenda alive and tell your gay friends about this gay ass podcast. Bless, bless, bless.